Can a slasher movie have a complex plot? It's an interesting question in my mind because the whole idea of sort of the slasher concept is simple, straightforward, just this is what you're getting and this is what the movie is. However, with the recently released Halloween Ends, there's a lot of debate throughout the community about, well, was this really a good movie? Because it wasn't what we were used to. It wasn't just Michael Myers going around killing people. It had sort of a more complex thematic tone to it. It was more of a movie where you were building up characters, where you were building up these ideas and themes and really living out a message that isn't just murder. Anyway, I know this is a little different from what I usually do, but it's an interesting thing to me. Based more on, I normally talk about video games and sort of like what makes them interesting things about them. What's interesting about this is a whole movie genre and really what makes it work. And this franchise obviously is one of the bigger franchises in all of cinema. So it's a really interesting thing to me to see them take it in a new direction and them sort of mess with the formula of what a slasher movie and what a Halloween movie is supposed to be. Now obviously this will be spoilers, but if you clicked on it, I assume you knew that. Anyway, in my opinion, this was a great movie. And the reason I say that is it's, for what I was saying before about them changing this formula, it's something new, it's something fresh, and it works really well for where this franchise is. And let me explain that before you get too upset with what I'm saying here. The whole idea behind this franchise is the idea of the boogeyman. It's that there's just this lurking evil all the time, around every corner, and therefore there's fear everywhere. What I loved about the beginning of Halloween Ends, it played directly into this, with Corey accidentally killing Jeremy. It was on Halloween night, exactly a year after Michael Myers killed dozens of people and escaped alive, and they know this. He was locked in a dark attic alone and was afraid of that evil. There was this entire opening sequence following the credits as well that showed just several suicides and tons of violence and deaths that had less and less to do with Michael Myers and more to do with just this presence of evil and fear. And I think thematically, that's just a really great and natural point for the people of this society to fall into. I mean, in the first two films of this trilogy, there's this sort of sense of disbelief and confusion about what's going on. People didn't really realize what was happening until they were already dead. What I love is in Ends, they take the exact opposite approach, and I think that just really works well. Laurie, who was overseeing all of this, realizes her life of living in this fear every day, always ready for evil to be on her doorstep, was just a waste of time and a real risk for her safety. She realized she was feeding the beast that was claiming so many innocent lives, and so she stopped hiding. She bought a normal house and started living a normal life with Allison. Because of her good nature and her trying to grow and, just help her granddaughter out, she even accidentally invites the boogeyman's prodigy into Allison's life simply because she wanted to do something nice for her. We see her making and miserably failing to bake a pie in the earlier part of the movie, and throughout we hear her synopsis, which discusses her saying goodbye to her boogeyman and helps deal with what evil is and ways to avoid it. She's seen with Frank several times throughout the movie, which is an awesome relationship to see develop as well. Laurie in this film, she's escaped the boogeyman. She is free of evil. But now to sort of discuss, since we've got the, scene set of why I think the setup for this movie is good, how I think Laurie works well, let's talk about what makes a lot of people upset about what this movie was, and that's Corey. And the idea of him helping Michael and sort of becoming the new boogeyman. And I'm going to tell you why it kind of works perfectly for this movie. The movie isn't about Michael Myers. It's about evil. Just general evil. An evil that can consume you, that's heartless, and that can inflict unimaginable pain. That evil is, in this franchise, normally embodied by Michael Myers, but like at the end of Halloween 4 when Jamie took on the mold, we do see this evil getting to other people at certain points in the franchise. Quoting Dr. Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween, Michael fell under the perfect set of circumstances to fully unleash the evil inside him. And Corey was on that very same path. I mean, he's the perfect mold for evil to take over. He had a very troubled past, he's killed someone before, and he has horrible relationships with a lot of people because of it. And therefore, he contains a lot of hate. That's why, in the sewer, Michael Myers doesn't kill him, because he sees this evil bubbling inside him. He sees a person who doesn't know what they want, who's lost. And I see a lot of people saying how this is supernatural or whatever. It's Michael just transferring his consciousness to a younger vessel. But I just disagree with that entirely because, again, it's not about Michael Myers. It's about this idea of evil, and Corey already had that inside of him. Evil isn't a person, it's a thing that can have multiple vessels, as Laurie pointed out at the end of her synopsis. Seeing Michael just brought it out, which we see when the guy questions him about why he was allowed to live after coming face to face with evil itself. Corey just embodied what was already inside him. He embraced fear like several people had in the opening sequence, and he turned into a monster. He helped Michael start killing again, tag teaming with his older counterpart, helping fuel an evil that was, at this point, taking him over. This is further proved by the fact that Laurie could see this evil inside him. She understood Michael and this concept far better than anyone, and when she saw the path Corey was on, she immediately tried to get Allison away from him because she understood where he was going. What we see that's an interesting point about Corey, it's a big difference between him and Michael. Corey's evil and his anger is targeted at specific people, people that wronged him earlier in the film. Whereas Michael is supposedly pure evil, he kills without motivation, and I think that's an important thing this movie's trying to show us. Corey isn't pure evil, he's a confused character, but that weakness and state of mind allowed Michael the opportunity to unleash the inner evil within him. Another important idea in this movie is that evil is fueled by killing, which is shown by how Michael slowly regains form throughout the movie. This isn't too crazy of an idea either, and it's not very supernatural at all. We all know negative thoughts fuel depression, for example, and this is the same idea. It's an act contributing to a fuel in a specific state of mind. Michael only joins Corey on his killing spree because he knows he'll have the help of someone equally eager to kill in order to fuel his evil. Finally, people have been discussing that Michael just showed up at Laurie's house. Despite not having a connection with her in this timeline, my objection to that, he was simply following Corey for the reason I just explained. Corey, who planned on killing Laurie because she had wronged him in his mind earlier in the film, was shot and in a weakened state on the ground. His entire reason for killing himself was that he wanted it to appear as if Laurie was responsible, because in his extremely twisted mind now, that would drive Allison away from her and fulfill the entire "if I can't have her, no one can" thing. This is also the reason that he tries to fend off Michael when he attempts to retrieve the knife and mask, as this would ruin his whole plan setup. The rest of the movie is fairly straightforward and, in my mind, very good. I love the procession scene and the whole idea of them finally putting evil to bed. But on top of that, the end scene with Laurie and her synopsis shows that evil never goes away. It can change shape, which was shown throughout the movie with Corey, and perhaps opens the door for a spin-off or another movie. It was a well and beautifully done conclusion to this franchise, in my opinion. And in my mind, that's just how I inhaled the movie, and why I thought it was a great and natural direction to go. And who knows, maybe I'm digging too deep or misinterpreting this movie, but I truly believe evil is deeper than Michael Myers in this franchise. Evil is its own being, and with the perfect set of circumstances, anyone can be consumed by it. This messaging is something that was absent in the past two movies, as those were more stereotypical slashers and gore fests, which is why I feel like a more powerful conclusion to this trilogy was just a great way to go out. So, can a slasher movie have a plot, and does it work? Well, the short answer is, it can work. It's just a problem of being too divisive, because a lot of times the fans of slasher movies aren't looking for super drawn out plots. They're looking for gore fests, they're looking for kills. And that's the balance you have to strike in a Halloween movie, a movie about evil, about killing. It's a tough balance to strike with a fan base very devoted to this idea of Michael Myers killing people and just being this evil, relentless slasher who can't be defeated. But if there was a way for this franchise to go out and for him to die, this was a great way to do it, in my opinion. Anyway, thank you for watching, and just remember, anyone can be the boogeyman.